and welcome back to me because I have not been making any astrological updates for a little bit. Um, I've been dealing with my own astrological traffic, navigating, making sure my life is still lining up in this whole big chaotic mess. So, anyways, I'm back and I wanted to share some stuff that's happening now, but also some stuff that maybe you can relate to, and definitely for this 4-4 portal that or 444 portal actually that we have coming up in a couple of days. So the 444 portal, what is that? It's April 4th, so 4 plus the day of the 4 plus the 2020 is another 4. So it's the 444 portal. That's a number of building a strong foundation, right? So you have this like extra guided protection, good juju, mastery level foundation building right here. Okay, so the day of April 4th in itself, just without any astrological BS, is a prosperous day for you to set new grounds for yourself, new four walls. A four is 1, 2, 3, 4. You build on top of that. So you're going to need to be able to get creative and innovative with how you are building and solidifying your strength and your future and your finances, and get creative with creating a platform to build upon even further if you haven't already. If you do already, then this is the time to make sure the foundation is strong. Are there any like low hanging fruits that you can just knock off or pick off or hand out? Whatever you're doing, I do need to delegate some jobs to some people so that you can focus more on solidifying than filling holes. That's all going to come with this kind of extra boost of success. So if you're doing something like this, then the 444 day is very good for you to jump through in those regards. Now, because we are a planet ruled by other energies of another planet, and I do believe because my life is very astrologically planned, it seems. I have some very big things happening on some very big transit experiences. But one of the things that we have going on is going to be on 4-4. We have Jupiter-Pluto connection. Okay, so before we talk about that, I want to talk about what a Pluto conjunction is. What happens when Pluto is involved in anything major? What is Pluto? Think about the story of Hades, Persephone, pulled into the underworld, gone for a bit of time, but resurrected and brought back so that she knows who she is, or in this case, we are as a collective, right? So, anytime Pluto, who is the planet of death, rebirth, change, transitions, releasing of what is no longer of service to you. So, these don't always have to be, oh, it was taken from me. Sometimes it's like, oh, boy, wonderful. Like, that's not even a problem for me anymore, right? Cool. It happens very many different ways for people based upon what your astrological energy needs at that moment. So, when you're having a Pluto transit, people, depending on which planet it's transiting, it's going to affect you differently. So, Pluto in the moon for me was a connection to my mother passing away. Pluto taking something, mother, moon, connection, done, right? We can kind of see in these ways where we put 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? So you're adding 1, 2, 3. It's like a recipe with food. If you're gonna add the same spices and cook it the same way, then every time you're gonna probably get almost the exact same kind of experience. Now, how the person you're serving it to likes that, dislikes that, critiques that, like that's on them, but your recipe stays the same, right? Same thing with planetary awareness. When we predict astrology based upon astrology and astrological events of the past coming back into play in this way, it's the same energy, but how it's being played out is how we're all receiving that. So, in top of this whole kind of virus pandemic experience that we have, that's very Plutonian. That's very death related. That's very take you to the brink of existence. And sometimes you can propel yourself back and you come back as a stronger entity. And sometimes it's your moment to transition, of which then it's a blessing to go during that time, because that is a very open door for that. No struggle in your transitions during Pluto times. Do you really want to transition now? I don't know, but the the awareness is that's the looming door of this Pluto thing, right? But is Pluto something to be feared? I don't believe so. No, I believe Pluto is a teacher that teaches you what you're made of, how much you can handle. How have you been practicing your meditation? How do you act under stress? Or are you ready to give up certain things of your life? Or do you have bad habits that perhaps you're like, oh, this is a great time for me to stop doing what? Those are great to do under a Pluto transit, right? Because you don't want to, you want to give that away. You don't want to be part of it anymore. So let's kind of think about that. But with this Pluto and Jupiter, particular Pluto, we just talked about, Jupiter, what we're talking about is planet of expansion, wealth, fame, higher level knowledge and thinking. It's your college aspect to your education. It's your specialty wisdom. It's what have you sought after and what are you seeking? Jupiter fills that, right? Okay, so those are all like the Jupiter blessings, but also it's expansion. It's pure expansion. Personally, in my funny world, I was pregnant with my second child while Jupiter was transiting my first house, house of self. What was happening? I physically was expanding. I was getting fatter because I was pregnant. It's so funny when you look at how it affects your life and you're like, wow, these are real things. So Jupiter expanding this idea of death, rebirth, transformation. We are in this second wave now of this virus spread idea, swoop of consciousness. I'm not saying it's virus. I'm not saying it's bullshit. I'm not saying it's believe it if you want. I'm saying the whole consciousness is now widespread, right? And it's going to spread even deeper because we're approaching this kind of cosmic push for what this is. So I've seen some astrologers believing that all of this was very much timed and a man-made event that was launched because this is the perfect snowball effect time for all of this. I've seen some people that are saying, oh, it just has to be something from the ice age. It has to be something brought back from nature. It doesn't really matter what it is at this point, because what Pluto and Jupiter is going to call for is for you to rise above that bullshit, rise above whatever you're thinking about, whatever it is. That is what's going to hold you back. Trying to figure something out is going to hold you back. Instead, you need to use the wisdom of Jupiter that you have about yourself, your safety, what feels good for you, what doesn't feel good for you, and live in that space, because everything else as we know it is going to change, and there's like not going any way to go back to the old normal, because the old normal is almost fully in a different paradigm. We went from 4 to 5D. You are part of this incredible galactic upgrade. You could even see it in books from the past of Berenstain Bears, Berenstein Bears, Berenstain Bears, A's or E's, right? It's been changed. You can't find any books on the E's anymore. They don't make them, but they were always E's. We all did book reports. We know how to spell Berenstain, Berenstain Bears. So that's just a piece of an example of these time loop hops we're hopping into. So now we're from 4 to 5. So your manifestations, your mental thoughts, your worries, it's all very much real and it's manifesting faster than you can reel it back in. So I'm not saying stay purely positive, because we all know within the Tao, you can't have the white and the light without the dark and the fright. That creates the balance and the harmony of the world. That we know light because of dark, right? So, what we need to understand is that the place that you go through this place in is going to shape the place where you come out of this at. Okay. Like my neighbor, she was funny. She was like, oh, everyone's going to come out drunk and pregnant, or pregnant, right? Drunk or pregnant people out of this quarantine. And you're like, oh gosh, is that the fate for the world? Well, if that's the way the world wants to go, then perhaps, but there are other ways that you can go. So we have this Saturn and Aquarius energy, okay, which again, traditionally is limitations. Saturn, structure, order, government, limitations, aware of your limitations, having to sit down when you really wanted to go run with your friends because the world's just not for you right now, teaching you a lesson. Saturn is your karma. It's so much of your like show up in the right ways, please. Aquarius is this free loving, out there, crazy energy that's just beautifully blooming at all creative outlets, right? So Aquarius is they don't really like to be put into that square of a box. If we're going to think about being in a box though, Saturn also rules the internet. Yes, Aquarius, expansion, getting to chittery chattery, seeing and touching the world. Yes, we have this time where now we are moving on to the internet because the restrictions of our personal freedoms of being able to leave our homes until what feels like June is happening right now. So we have this Aquarian age technology that we've all been training for 100%. 1991, we opened the door for this universal technology to be available to everyone. Well, we're upgrading in that technology. So they're physically trying to take us to a 5G platform, which has not been proven yet to be very healthy for us. We're being pushed through this migration phase, right? But the Earth in itself is also upgrading to this 5D platform of awareness and conscious thinking. And humanitarianism is on a rise. And suddenly we know everyone in the world is suffering at the same time. But the suffering is a choice, right? It can't always be, oh, I don't want to, so I won't. But it's how you persevere and how you pull through that makes the suffering time able to be looked back on and something that you can wear as a badge of honor instead of a moment where you sat down and you pitied yourself and you cried and you wrote mean things on Facebook all the time. And don't use it for that. Use it for your own personal advancement. Create an online technology for yourself. Create a physical technology like Kundalini Yoga, right? And then we've got Mars in Aries, which is this power playing power force, pushing everything forward at the speed of a chariot that's on fire. So you cannot stop this. Your whining and complaining won't stop any of this, whether it's a virus, whether it's something else going on behind the scenes, whether it's Mother Nature pulling a cord saying enough is enough. You yourself will not stop this. The only thing that you actually will do is you're going to create a happier, healthier existence for yourself while we all move through this, right? Because we have to move through this together. You can't just sit down and say, no, thank you. You are 5D. You're creating all of this and you're part of all of it. So you have to stay in it. And, and this whole thing is like creating the deathlessness out of death, right? So we think Pluto is death. It's like done, end, fin, over. But it's not. It's Jupiter too. So it's expansion. So we have to think about it as deathlessness. So although some are actually pulling out and leaving at this time, the rest of this whole thing, we know it's not ended. There is no when will we go back to normal. This is just our new unfolding relationship with the earth and with each other. And it took us like this big weird thing in the middle, I think, to like look at that and say that maybe perhaps it's all off balance. But it's not like a Uranus and Pluto, conjunction. That would be like really messy. Uranus is all about like chaos and disorder and discord and things that just don't make sense. It's that erratic energy. So that would be like senseless killings and murders and beautiful family getting killed for some weird thing, like we have the Harvey family here in Richmond. I think about that as very Uranian type of experience. This is Jupiter led, so this is for a higher purpose. All of it is a grander message. And if you can gain the compassion it takes to stick into that while still coddling and holding your community as though they matter the most to you, because they do, because we all rise together, right? But you can't sit down if you already know. You have to stay standing up and help others lift with you, right? That's always how it goes. So if you play this Jupiter-Pluto in Capricorn at 24 degrees on the 444 portal, and you play this card very well, meaning self-care, mental care, physical body care, community care, staying in what's true, what's not for you, staying off gossip and rumors and oh gosh, what ifs. Don't and do, then you're going to ride this wave really nicely until September. So this next few months is going to be really intense. Here's the next part of it though, is that in June, when we're all expected to be free of quarantini life, June is actually when this Pluto Jupiter connection goes retrograde. So right now we're on the balls rolling for the next few months, and then it's going to stop and it's going to start chugging backwards, right? Well, what happens then? It all slows down. So if you can hold in a few more months, the intensity of this wave for us over here is going to smooth down and we're going to be all right. We're going to come out stronger and feeling more like, wow, look what we've done as a community. Maybe not our leaders, because we still don't really have a lot of respect for some of those dudes, but definitely for each other and how your friends checked in on you and how you did, sharing of ideas and coming together virtually and supporting each other financially because you know that the world can't right now. All of those beautiful things, you're like you're doing it. This is what it's about. So we're leaving the old dimensions behind. We're coming into the new dimension. We're already here. Some of us have been here for a while waiting. Some of us are fine-tuning our skills. Some of us are absorbing life just minute by minute. But the real joy of it all is that this does give us time to pay attention to this shift because we've shifted galactically quite a few impressionable imprints as a community and as a whole so far, but we're always so busy. So like right now, we're just like super chill and you feel it and you know it and you're able to receive it. So that's my jam for today. I'm going to go film a Kundalini yoga set for us so that we can have a 4-4 jam out sesh for that and fine tune our bodies. And if you have any crystals, break them out for the next few days, but especially if you have a Herkimer diamond. Herkimer diamonds I always see as helping you lift your feet and transcend the bullshit, literally picking your energy up and making you more magnetic and radiant in the realm of possibilities instead of the lower realm of problems. So I always carry a little Herkimer diamond. I wear Herkimer diamonds in my ears a lot. But for right now, if you've got a little dude, break them out. And if not, then find a crystal friend that makes you feel good and carry it around so you can jump through with all your cares.